Hey everyone, and welcome back to the CPCS Athletics Podcast. I'm your host for today, Hope, and today we have one very special guest joining us today. He has made a lasting impact on our varsity boys volleyball program, not only by developing strong athletes, but by shaping leaders on and off the court. So please welcome Coach Ryan Van Rensselaer.
Woo! Yeah!
Coach Ryan has been a coach for this program for 5 years. He has been coaching volleyball for over 20 years. He has 6 CIF championship titles and 2 state championship titles, and has been named Coach of the Year 5 times in his career.
Okay, to start us off, we're going to talk about your approach to the season. So, Coach, how are you feeling about the upcoming season, and what is your overall vision for the team, both on and off the court?
Well, first of all, it's wonderful to be here with you ladies, and I love what you're doing here. And I'm honored to get to share. How do I feel about the season, my outlook? Well, we lack a lot of experience, and we don't have a lot of depth. But aside from that, we have extremely strong character, some of the highest character of the boys I've ever coached. So that's a joy for me to have just that caliber of young men to coach. So the experience and the other things you really can't you can't predict and you can't change. So we'll do our best. It's going to be a great season.
Very cool. And how has your approach to this season changed compared to last year's season?
I would say that, when you have higher caliber athletes that have a lot more experience, you can come out of the gate, playing 6-on-6 and being more competitive. The beginnings of this season have been very elementary, going back to the foundations of passing, how do you form your shape, creating your angle. So we're going back to the basics, and that's harder for the guys like Nate, BMAC, Jacob and Troy, who have experience, but it's necessary to bring everybody up to speed. So you're only as good as your weakest player on that floor. So, yeah.
Okay, getting into specifics, would you say that you're fixated on how many wins or losses your team gets, or what does success look like in
It's
your eyes?
all about the fabulous prizes and the victories. No, I'm just joking. That's something that I preach with the boys is learning how to play free of fear and not worrying about the outcome. Hope's heard me say this for years with her. It's like, if you're not worried about what happens at the end, you can focus on the joy of being in the present and enjoying the journey. And so that's going to have to be really at the forefront of everyone's minds and hearts, is not worrying about, we're going to lose a lot of games probably because we're playing a tough schedule and everyone's got way more experience. So, and that's okay. It only matters how we finish. So we're going to train for the end and enjoy the process of just getting better, improving every time we get out there.
Love that.
Yeah.
Were there any key areas that you really focused on in practicing or conditioning this season?
Key areas. Well, our off season basically consisted of beach, right? So beach season for some of the boys that played. We only have 13 athletes, so I think 5 or 6 of them play other sports. So there wasn't really an opportunity to do a lot of preseason stuff, but with the ones that were available, we lifted a few days a week and they played beach. And so that's great preparation for the season. Yeah.
So talking about your team and your roster, what kind of leadership do you see from your returning players?
Really strong leadership. Yeah. BMAC, Troy, Nate, Jacob Gustafson, they're all great leaders. They're selfless. They really do a great job of including the guys that don't know what they're doing, and they're patient with them, and that's always hard. So great leadership.
Continue to talk about the team and leadership. How do you think that you're going to build chemistry with this team, especially with all the new players that are just getting into the sport?
Great question. The answer is I'm not. The boys are going to have to do that. They're going to have to be the ones that create the chemistry, and the beauty, like I said before, is you have selfless leaders in BMAC, Troy, Nate, and Gus, and so they're already super inclusive, and they're making the younger guys that have no experience, that don't even know how to pass volleyball, they're making them feel comfortable. So you can already tell there's a great chemistry. Yeah, there's no ego. There's not a lot of ego. So that's refreshing.
Yeah, it sounds really great, in a great environment that's being put up there.
It is. It really is.
What do you think some main goals for this team should be this season, both on and off the court?
I alluded to it before. The goal would be to focus on the present and not worry about the outcomes of winning or losing or league or CIF, but just, my philosophy, girls, is God put me here. I have a conviction that my job is to give them Jesus and to help them grow to be the men that God created them to be. And so how I've done that in the past is through daily scriptures, daily devotions, praying together constantly. And that's, it's funny because I'm super competitive. Hope knows, throw the clipboards, get crazy. It's happened in the past. So I want to win like anybody else, but it's like God reels me in when I have teams like this where maybe they're not as competitive and as experienced. So it's like, okay, Ryan, are you really going to focus on what truly matters to me, or are you going to get caught up in yourself and your ego and trying to win? And so I'm just going to have to really encourage the boys to execute like that as well. Just enjoy the process. Don't worry about what the outcomes are. And these are some friendships that they'll build for life, and that's way more valuable than winning a CIF championship or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I can vouch for Coach Ryan when I say this because I'm his daughter. But there have been very many clipboard slams, possibly clipboard breaks. Wait. No, I was going to say something nice.
Okay.
But I can definitely see how the Lord has just put patience on his heart and tugged on his heart to make it more tender. And just to, have patience with these boys over the years. Because I've been watching him coach since I was born. And I'm just, because believe me when I say this, I used to be scared to come to his games and watch him. Because I was expecting the anger to come
intensity.
Out. But not anymore. And definitely not since he's come to CBCS. He's just been working really hard on his character, too, as a coach. So I would value that in my coach any day.
Thank you. Thank you.
But also just getting into faith and character.
Yeah.
How do you plan to integrate faith into practices and games this season?
Like I said, we do devotions every practice, or at least scripture reading, and we talk about it. We don't just read it and then move on to practice. I've had times in the past where, and I always said this, that's the most valuable time that we spend together is when we're in God's Word. And there's been practices where we were talking about like serious issues that the boys are dealing with, and we ended up not practicing at all. And I always said that was the best practice of the year. So we'll focus on that. We'll focus on being in God's Word, being faithful there, right? Yeah. That's our discipline. Let Him refine us, grow us into the men He wants us to be, and that'll be always be the main focus. Yeah.
Very cool. And I know we kind of just touched on this, but how do you specifically help players grow spiritually when they're also learning the game? Just like the balance of learning volleyball, but also becoming men of God.
Great question. I think just using specific experiences that they're dealing with. For the newer guys, it's fear, right? They're worried about impressing or pleasing, or they want to start. For the older guys, it's being patient, right? And their lack of patience. Like we had a great example the other night. Nate got a little fired up because his team lost, and it was because of one of the newer guys. And, it was great because I said, what a gift. God allowed you to lose and to deal with that thing that you're weakest at so that you could mature and grow and get stronger. That's a great thing. So it's taking specific examples that coaches see during practice and games to make them teaching moments, So none of us are holy rollers. We're all failing our way forward. So, yeah.
And kind of going off of that, like learning from different mistakes, how do you encourage that environment to, for players not to dwell on mistakes and just focus on the present and that it's just a small thing?
Yeah, girls, you know better than it. It's like if your coaches put the fear of God into you, it's not good. It's like you're always. I used to have athletes that would always look at me from I'm on the sideline and they're on the game, and every time they make a mistake, they look over, and one of them was one of my favorite athletes of all time, Spencer Alden, and he would always look at me. And I finally had to yell at him, go, do not look at me anymore. If you look at me again, I am taking you off the floor and you're not going to play again. Because it just shows that it's like he's worried about me. And so with this group especially, my job is to let them play free and curtailing the intensity, right? And letting them know I love you, I care about you guys, I'm for you. If I have information for you, I'll speak up and I'll let you know. But just go play, have a blast, and we'll coach you along the way. So that's really, I think, what we can do a great job at. Will make a huge difference with them to free them up, is if we just communicate that, hey, you guys, we're okay with you guys being where you're at. It's okay where you're at. It's not okay to stay there, but it's okay to just be patient with yourself and not beat yourself up for mistakes. Keep getting after it. Yep, I know you hit the back wall. Keep swinging, rather than you made a mistake. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I love that you're just trying to focus on the more encouraging side and uplifting side of a coach, rather than degrading and being negative about their skill.
Shaming.
Yeah.
That's not good.
We don't like shame.
No. And I've done that before, and that's not good.
Hey. Okay. This is kind of a question more towards you.
Yeah.
But how does coaching volleyball, also for the past 20 years, how has it given you opportunities to live out the gospel?
Ooh, yeah. Well, that's the whole point of being here, right, is a strong conviction to disciple and raise up young men. I always felt like God was saying, even if you just reach one, it was worth all the time you put in. And I thought I'd be done, 5 years in, I thought, yeah, I'm done. And every year I check in with the Lord and I say, okay, would you like me to continue? And I have my process that I go through of listening, and he has not released me yet, so I continue to do it. But our job, none of us, our jobs are not to save people. We don't do that, right? The Holy Spirit does that. So I had a strong conviction that God said, could you just open my word with them every day? If you could do that, you'll be a great coach. And I said, I can do that. So that's, I think that standing in this place as a coach and saying, hey, this is the most important thing. Winning is wonderful. We all love that. But really, the only thing that matters is you're hopefully going to be a future husband and a future father, and you're a son to God. And so all that matters is, are you growing stronger in that calling that God created you and put you on this earth for? Or are you focused on the fabulous prizes? And so that's got to be the focus. That's my conviction.
That's really amazing, just like hearing your story and how God has just used you over these past 20 years, and just how you are as a coach, and just being a mentor to all the people that you've impacted. That's really cool and really touching to hear.
Thank you, Kaya.
And kind of going back to this season and the schedule, are there any matches that you're excited for that are coming up?
Well, Pacifica is always a fun match because we have such a great rivalry with them, and we've wiped the floor with them the past many years, and this year we're likely going to get wiped. They're going to wipe the floor with us. They got a few transfers that came in. They've got a huge program. My cousin is coaching them, who coached with me over at Saddleback Valley Christian, and then he came over here and coached for me the 1 year we won CIF and state here. So that'll be fun. It'll be fun to play against him, and it'll be great to see him doing well. And but don't count us out. Yeah, don't count us out.
Totally.
That's I think my favorite game though.
Yeah. It's a fun one to watch too.
Yes. Thank you.
So I know we've been talking a lot about character, but what is something skill-wise and like team-wise that the team will need to do to compete well with the other high-level teams?
Well, obviously pass, and we do not have a setter. Both of our setters this year, Joel Williams, who's a freshman, he's never set before and never played organized volleyball as a setter. So he'll be a huge, important piece of this puzzle. Nate LeDrew, he is normally our outside hitter. He's been having some back issues, so he said, Coach, I think I need to set so I don't swing. And I said, okay. Let's try that. And so we're working with both of them right now in the setting role, and that'll be the key. If we have a decent setter, we'll compete.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't have a setter that's like fully been in the setter position before, but you're going to start with these guys and see what's going to happen.
That's right.
Okay.
We'll probably run a 6-2 with these two and just see how they come along.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
But Joel's going to be really good when he gets older. It's just going to take him some time to get there. So.
For sure. Yeah.
And kind of going back to team culture, what values do you want to emphasize most on your program this year and then just like going forward?
Playing free of fear. That's the number one thing. Being free of fear and focusing on the the end result, and the journey and the process of getting there, not on specific outcomes. Yeah.
I know we kind of already talked about that, but
That's okay. That's all right.
it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's something people might not realize about coaching high school volleyball? Like the behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Like some of the stuff you might have to deal with, the hard work behind the planning.
Yeah, those are all true statements. It's all those things. Something that people might not know. I think people know it takes an incredible amount of patience, right? Because you're dealing with people at all different skill levels. Like I equate this to if I was at college coaching, it would be easy in the sense that everyone is the highest level. So you can just you can teach to character more than anything because they already have the skills. You're just refining the skills. When you have to do it at this level and you don't have a lot of experience, it really takes a lot of, okay, I got to peel back this onion again. I've had teams over the years, like at Saddleback, where it was just, you come into season, you don't ever have to go to the remedial stuff. You're just right into the advanced stuff, and that's fun. This is like, okay, that's right. I got to go back to the basics, as painful as that is. So that's got to be the emphasis this year, and that's something people may not know is just you never have figured it out as a coach. You're constantly on the ropes saying, God help me, and that's wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is a good one.
Oh, yeah, bring
what's
it.
a fun memory from past seasons that you still think about today?
Wow. I mean, the CIF and state championships are always amazing. Those journeys are fun. One year, I think it was 2018, we were not even ranked, kind of like you guys last year. We weren't expected to do anything. We squeaked into CIF, and we ended up losing to Orange Lutheran in the final. So that was a great accomplishment. The team was not as skilled, and we outperformed at the right time. So that was a great memory. And then I've had the privilege of marrying 3 of my athletes. That's like one of the greatest rewards, to be able to do that for past athletes. You hope, and it's funny because the 3 athletes I married, I did not have a really tight bond with when I was in high school. So you just never know who you're reaching. You never know who you connect with. So yeah, those are all great memories, though.
I think you might have left one out, though. Perhaps when you went to Katelyn and we kind of hurled over the boat.
Oh, yeah. But that's not a good memory.
But it's fun for your boys because they're like, oh, coach is sick, coach is down.
Oh, they were making fun of me the whole time on the way over. I've been over there like 18 times. I've never gotten sick. And this one time, I think I forgot to take my Dramamine. And
gotta take your Dramamine.
That was not fun.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I know you did.
Just kidding. I was worried. But anyways, I know you've also kind of touched on this too, but just like, what's your final response on how do you want this season to shape the young men or your players that they're becoming for the future?
I would say that we had this Navy SEAL come in one time, and his slogan was "Embrace the suck." That's what Navy SEALs do, because what they do, it is not fun. They go into surf torture. I mean, they torture these guys, right? And I love that analogy because if you can communicate that to the guys, like, oh yeah, we just had a nice stair outing, and I had 3 pukers, first time ever. That was a highlight. I should have brought that up as a highlight.
That was kind of fun for you.
That was fun for me, actually, because they were pushing themselves, and they pushed themselves too far. So getting everybody to embrace the fact that, like the older guys, hey, this is going to be painful for you because we have to go back to, volleyball 101. That's not fun. But embrace that, because if you can get these guys up to speed, we'll perform at our best at the end. And then obviously through the physical training and the stuff that we do, embracing when coach wants to put the beat down on you through physical training, embrace that, because it's just making you stronger mentally, physically. So I think that keeping that at the forefront of just embrace this journey and the process. And it's not always fun. People don't like to be disciplined, but God says that he disciplines those he loves. So coaches, we love you guys, so we're going to discipline you, and we're going to put you through the ringer a bit, because we know it's going to make you strong. Yeah. So anyway.
Okay, one final question.
Yes, ma'am.
What message do you have for families, students, and all of their supporters as the season begins?
Don't count us out. We may not be great when we start, but we will be much better at the end.
Amazing message. Well, Coach Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. We absolutely loved having you and hearing a bit about you and your journey as a coach. It's been awesome hearing your heart for this team and all that God has done for you and will do for this season.
Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Kaya. Thank you, Katelyn.
And to everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in to the CVCS Athletics podcast. Be sure to follow along for more stories from our athletics and coaches as we continue to celebrate the heart, hard work, and faith behind CVCS sport.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. CVCS is a Christian TK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Please visit cvcs.org/podcasts to listen to the variety of shows our students produce on our campus. You can also find all of our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and others. We would also appreciate you subscribing to and leaving a review of this show and the other shows on our network in your podcast player of choice. If you have any questions or would like to reach out to us, please email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the school, this is Mr. Jasper, the executive producer of the podcast network. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for more.